Good evening all, and welcome to another video on All How the Ale. It's Sunday night, which means it's trad beer night, and we're in for another blindfold taste test tonight with two IPAs. It's these two. It's Hobgoblin IPA and Shipyard IPA, both of which are brewed by Marstons in the UK. And yeah, interesting to see how this one goes. They're a similar price point, about £1.80 a bottle, or 4 for £6 in Tesco's. And they're similar-ish on ABV, 5.3 for the Hobgoblin, 5 for the Shipyard. Both are quite popular. I've had quite a few over the years. And yeah, they weren't bad beers. But has the relatively recent acquisition of Marstons by Carlsberg had an effect on them? We shall find out. But before we go and find out what beers are which, in terms of what I prefer, we're going to go to the Aid Memoir of Untapped, just to check on the check-ins and the average score. So Hobgoblin IPA has got 52,000 check-ins compared to 20,200 for the Shipyard, and a slightly higher average of 3.52 to 3.42 in favour of the Hobgoblin. So we're at the point in the video now where I shall establish the inability to see with my blindfold of joy, and once I've got that on, my glamorous assistant, otherwise known as my son Josh, will grab a glass, grab a beer, and make sure that I can't see them, and then pour so I can sniff, taste, and all that jazz to see which one I prefer. So let's get the blindfold on, make it so that I can't see. Make sure I can smell and taste though. So there we are. Have we got our fingers up?
I'm holding an object.
I reckon, hang on. It's either a piece of chalk or a bottle opener.
Wrong, it's a pen.
Ah, wounded. Anyway, so Josh will now pick a glass and a beer at random, show them to the camera, and then he will pour and I will sample.
Okay, so I'm going to go this beer into this glass. I say glass, definitely too.
As always, go for just about half and try not to shove the glass in my face when you give it to me this time.
Ah, I've got it.
Right, okay, so this is the Titanic glass with a beer in.
And then,
the other beer,
as you should know, this beer is going into this glass. Starting to become a pro at opening bottles.
should do by now. You've done a few. Handle first.
That's way too much to the top. But, you know, you'll get more.
When you say to the top,
it's not fully to the top, it's more like to the...
Has it got a monster head on it?
Yeah, kind of.
Right, okay. So, we've established Josh can't pour a beer. So, we'll go for this one first for the sniff test.
It's not got a monster head, it's just got a little head.
So, it's hoppy and citrus based, which is quite nice. Just hold that one for a second.
Okay. Got it.
There you go. So yeah, hoppy, citrus based. There's a nice malt behind it. Fair chunk of grapefruit coming through. Interesting. Whereas this one... Oh no, this smells different. This one smells... not so grapefruity, not so hop forward. Don't get me wrong, it's still hoppy, but there's more malt coming through. Yeah, it's definitely less citric and less hoppy. So, as a lover of hops and all things grapefruity, I'm going to give the point to this one in the Titanic glass. Has the point been established?
The point has.
Magic. So we're going to go on for the body test for the loser first of all, which was this one. Light to medium weight, smooth carbonation, clean and crisp in the mouth, whereas this one very similar, slightly smoother carbonation, and it's a little dry. Little to choose between them, But the point is going to go to this one because it's just slightly smoother.
So it's 2 to that one.
2 to that one. So we're going to go for the taste test now. Now this is where I prefer them hoppy, long and bitter from an IPA. So I'm looking for that, and obviously the constituent hops in these are New World hops, so well, I'm expecting that citrus edge to them. So starting with the loser, which is this one. So whilst on the nose it is quite well balanced, but more towards the malt, in the flavour it is a little hoppier than it is malty. It's a very smooth, easy drinking flavour. There is citrus, but it's quite light on the citrus front. And as for bitterness, there is a little bit. It's coming through towards the back end, and it's slightly pithy, which I appreciate. Whereas this one, instantly, it's more bitter. It's hoppier. And it's got a nice resinous kick to that bitterness as well. And it's clear that this one has got more hops in it, and they're more bold. There's a hoppy oil type thing going on, and it's a real pithy grapefruit bitterness, and it is a joy really compared to the other one. So the winner yet again for 3-0 is whatever beer is in this glass. Point has been awarded, so we go to the finish. Starting with the loser, I look for, again, hoppiness, bitterness and longevity on the finish. So I want that beautiful hoppy bitter aroma, flavour, call it what you will, to last a good amount of time. And off the bat, this beer in the Lemmy glass it's sweeter on the finish by quite some way. It's a slightly sugary, sweet finish. It's hoppy, but again, as per the flavour, it's quite mild, and it is relatively long, not bitter enough. Whereas this one, yeah, as per the flavour, it's bitter, it's hoppier, it's longer, it's drier as well, as I mentioned on the initial taste and the body. It is a no-brainer. The point is going to the beer in the Titanic glass once more.
Okay.
Point been awarded?
Yes.
Lovely. So at this point we're going to have the beer glasses topped up with their respective beers, and then I shall remove my blindfold and see which one I think looks best. That's that one. I'll switch hands. And once you've poured that one, hold fire, and I'll remove my blindfold of joy.
Okay.
Bottle down.
Yep.
Okay. As always, blind. Where's the camera? There you are. Okay, so visuals. I like them darker. I like them clear in a trad IPA, and there is nothing really between them. They are almost identical in colour, if anything. You know, I'd say they are identical. Head, what is of them, is pretty consistent. There's nothing, absolutely nothing in it. Let's just watch the carbonation. Rolling up slightly slower in this glass. Not that that makes a blind bit of difference, but it does imply that the body in this one is slightly more. Let's just try and do a bit of a... It's not going to work. No, oh, maybe. No, there's nothing to tell between them. So I'm going to award the point just for a clean sweep to this one. Now, I don't know which one it is because I just want to read you what it says on the bottles about each one. So the Hobgoblin IPA is an IPA that is pale golden with orange glints. This beer is forged from the finest British hops, interestingly. And varieties gathered from the far-flung shores of the Pacific. Prepare for an intense tropical explosion of zesty oranges, grapefruit, honey, and juicy bitterness. Winner of the world's best IPA award, like they say, legendary. Whereas the Shipyard, established in Portland, Maine, in the USA, it says they are the pioneers of true refreshment and taste. And from the heart of Portland, Maine, a coastal city famed for shipbuilding, world trade, and discovery, our founder Fred put everything on the line to realise his dream. With grapefruit notes at its core and a delicate bitterness in taste, this deep gold-coloured beer is refreshing with every sip. So, with those descriptions, both mentioning grapefruit, but one suggested it's more restrained than the other. So, I think the winner, which is in this glass, is the Hobgoblin. Now, let's have a look at the scoreboard of joy. Do not reveal. No way. Get bent. Seriously? The descriptions lie. The descriptions lie. All 5 points to the Shipyard. Wow. Wow. There we go. That is a surprise. Based on the descriptions, that as written, I would have suggested the Shipyard was the weaker of the two beers. But it does kind of back up my theory that the bean counters at Carlsberg and Marstons have really screwed up the recipes. I mean, that's Hobgoblin Gold that got defeated last week by a cheap imposter of a beer. And this week, it was it's the weaker beer, tasted stronger, tasted better from Marstons. So, yes, Hobgoblin really has been wrecked. Interesting. Interesting indeed. Did not expect that. I didn't, I must admit. That was a big surprise, huge surprise. And I know from my time on the, well, I say all my time, I'm still there, the Wychwood Goblins group, Hobgoblin IPA is very well received. But I'm going to have to go and court opinion, see if people think it's gone downhill or not. Or is it just a case of, you know, the Shipyard has always been the better beer, and just my bias towards Hobgoblin from years gone by when they had better labels and were not actually owned by Carlsberg and the like. Yeah, unconscious bias is real. I always put down the Shipyard as being the inferior beer of the two, but there we go. Anyway, I'm waffling, and we all know what it's like when I waffle. I keep going on for England, so we're just going to leave it there and say those have been the beers. Those down there are the buttons. You know exactly what to do with them by now. You've got your like, comment, dislike, and subscribe. Choose any combination of them as you wish. And before we go, we'll say thank you once more to our glamorous assistant, Josh.
Hi.
And we'll see you again soon for another one. Bye for now.